Namaskar. Today's generation is articulate, ambitious, and emotionally expressive. They speak about boundaries, self respect, equality, and mental health with remarkable confidence. Yet, when it comes to sustaining intimate relationships and marriages, many young adults seem to struggle with navigating conflict, expectations, emotional regulation, and commitment. So, today's conversation is not about blaming a generation, their parents, or society. It is more about understanding the psychology behind changing relationship patterns and asking what all of us can learn. And to do the honors, I have a special guest with me today in today's episode of Talking with Expert. There are some individuals whose life's work leaves a lasting impact, not only on institutions, but also on countless lives. It is my privilege to introduce one such inspiring personality today. Joining us is Professor Dr. Renu Malaviya, an eminent academician, a researcher, mental health professional, family therapist, and social advocate with over 40 years of experience in the fields of parenting, family, and marital counseling, intergenerational relationships, school mental health, human development, teacher education, and inclusive education. That's a long list, I must say. She is the former professor and head of the Department of Education at Lady Irwin College, University of Delhi, and former Dean of the Faculty of Behavioral Sciences at SGT University, and currently serves as the Director of Parikrama, a pioneer in the field of specific learning disabilities in India. Dr. Malviya has been instrumental in shaping inclusive education and promoting psychological well-being. She has conducted over 1,000 national and international training programs for educators, mental health professionals, and parents, and is the author of more than 40 books and academic publications. Her work beautifully bridges research with real life application, always keeping the emotional and holistic development of individuals and families at its heart. It is truly an honor to have you with us today. A very warm welcome to you, Renu ma'am. I think I did
Thank you so much.
justice with your introduction.
You did more than my justice to my introduction. You put me on a pedestal today. Thank you so much. And I'm so proud and so happy to be with this program here, talking with the experts. Thank you, Kavita Yadav, ma'am, for having me on this platform.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I know you are so busy, tied up with so many things, but still, if you're taking out time for this, it means a lot to me. So,
Thank you.
without wasting any more time, and let's start with the conversation, the talking today. So, मैम मेरा आपसे सबसे पहला सवाल ये है कि today's young professionals, as I was mentioning, are confident, they're independent, and they're clear about their expectations at the workplace. But when it comes to finding intimate relationships, they find it far more challenging. When it comes to marriage, they are kind of like taken aback and they are fearing to step into that zone as such. So, what I want to understand from you is, ma'am, that from a psychological perspective, why is navigating a romantic relationship often more difficult than succeeding professionally? ऐसा क्या है जो इन बच्चों को डरा रहा है?
सच्ची इसमें अगर हम देखते हैं कि जो सक्सेस at workplace and success in a relationship बहुत ही different चीजें हैं. Success, when they're talking about success at workplace, it is about rules, it's hierarchy, it's key performance indicators, clear responsibilities created in a structured environment. And they get a sense of control and self-efficacy there. But let's come to relationships. When we talk about relationships, especially the intimacy that is required there is ongoing negotiation with another autonomous person who also tends to have feelings, needs, and triggers. It evolves an unpredictable situation for them. And there are no performance reviews here, no fixed roadmaps to guarantee them a success. So this is one major problem that emerges. What I tend to see when I'm interacting with the young generation here. The modern workplaces also, they reward independence, autonomy, decision making, and it relies on their own skills and how to direct their own pathways. But now let's come to relationships. You cannot have only my road and my road. Intimacy requires mutual reliance and interdependence. They're quite okay with being dependent. But now there is another person who is also negotiating and is an individual in themselves. Now, these two people have to willingly work together, and they have to influence each other's choices, emotional states, and routine. Now, that often makes them feel out of control altogether. So this is why that that ability, the need, or the fear of going into deep connections, which any relationship requires, and it leads to vulnerability in you also. When you're showing your fear, your insecurities, your needs, your flaws, which you don't have to show in your workplaces, it makes them feel that they are at risk. And these are probably some of the reasons why they are not able to let emotional closeness go into emotional closeness, or the fear of being abandonment, engulfment, which naturally emerges as you go and evolve into a relationship. So ultimately, what are we talking about? Professional success means mastery and control. But emotional intimacy means vulnerability, surrender, working together, and working for both of together as a team. And that is what scares them probably. I wonder if I've been able to really put what is the difference and why they're doing so well professionally and going away from emotional attachments.
Right, right. So, ma'am, what I catch the word is vulnerability, right?
Absolutely.
And territory which they have never ever set their foot on before on this,
Absolutely.
right? So that fear of unknown, what to expect, what not to expect. So
And every day it is different.
every day it is different. Oh yes, every day it is different. राइट तो इन बच्चों को टर्म्स तो मालूम है कि बाउंड्री सेट करना होता है मुझे मेरा सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट चाहिए राइट दे नो दैट and I need to take care of myself, that self love and all of it. So terms are all over the place for them, this new generation that is there. ठीक है? But while these are essential, I will not deny that these are not essential. They are of utmost importance. But what do you think there is sometimes confusion between setting healthy boundaries and avoiding emotional discomfort? तो एक जो कंफ्यूजन आ जाता है ना, मतलब नोन के साथ साथ ये क्यों इतना बड़ा कंफ्यूजन बन जाता है, ये जरा आप समझाने की कोशिश कीजिए.
जो हेल्दी बाउंड्रीज होती हैं वो आर डिजाइंड हैं टू क्रिएट to protect the connection. And when we are trying to develop these healthy boundaries, we are talking about establishing clear guidelines for mutual respect, personal limits, and safety. पर जब हम अवॉइडेंस बैरियर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, उसमें वो डिजाइन क्या है? अपना ईगो प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए. जब हम किसी के साथ एक क्लियर गाइडलाइंस बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जिसमें म्यूचुअल रिस्पेक्ट भी है, दूसरे की भी है, अपनी भी है, तो कहीं तो एक सेफ्टी बाउंड्रीज, एक बैलेंस बनेगा. जब बैलेंस बनेगा, उसमें इफ आई एम ओनली गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट थिंक अबाउट माय प्रोटेक्टिंग द ईगो, the other person also has an ego. So that forming of a mutual middle path is what is not avoidance barrier. It's healthy bordering. But that is where they get very confused about. So, and when you're forming relationships, intimate relationships on top of that, there is going to be certain levels of temporary discomfort because you are re-evaluating the path that the two partners, or it could be in any relationships, have to take together. So there will be a level of discomfort and then it will settle down. There will be certain amount of anxiety. There would be the need to require to self-reflect. And this is not avoidance barrier. This is the process of forming healthy boundaries. And it's not that healthy boundaries are made just now and they will remain that. Again, the ecosystem of me, the person, the other person, they will change. Then again, those healthy boundaries have to be renegotiated. So therein comes a point here. Now, for example, when we talk about personal space, one is I reserve the time for my hobbies and friendships. That's how you look at it. It is like clear, non negotiable boundaries. Now, the other could be my independence comes first, accommodating your emotional needs.
Mm.
So there has to be, this is difference. You're still going in for that I am important. My hobbies and friendships are important, but your emotional needs are also important. So you negotiate that and find a balance up there. So that is the difference between healthy boundaries and the other is. So now when there is a little issue with the barrier, we tend to just get out of the situation. And that is not what is to be done here. So I can say that boundaries, here is what I need to stay open and present with you. And avoidance is, here is how I protect myself from feeling uncomfortable with you. So relationships is not protecting yourself. It is, of course, there is. If it is going into a toxic levels, then you are talking about protection. But normally it is about negotiation.
Right. So, ma'am, healthy boundaries, negotiation, protecting oneself, and not only oneself, but the partner as well, and the relationship in totality as well. Right?
Absolutely.
बट ये क्या हो रहा है ना, ये आजकल के बच्चे जो है ये सब कहाँ से सीख रहे हैं? लव लैंग्वेज, मैरिजेस, अबाउट रिलेशनशिप थ्रू सोशल मीडिया. Right?
Hmm.
So people are talking about this all over the place. And everybody is coming in from their own lived experiences, which I understand. Okay? But then these young minds, whose logical brain is still under the process of being fully developed, they are, I think, not able to differentiate ki what is right, what is not right, how much to pick, what to pick, when to pick from all that is around them. तो यहाँ पे जाके ना बहुत एक ऐसे खिचड़ी बन जाती है, मुझे जो लग रहा है. राइट? तो इन योर ओपिनियन आई वांट टू नो कि कितना ये जो जनरेशन है, ठीक है, हाउ मच ऑफ टुडेज एक्सपेक्टेशंस about relationships is shaped by real experiences, and how much is like curated through online narratives, as I shared.
While Kavita ji, you were talking, there was something coming to my mind. The summer vacations were here, and then I was interacting with a lot of, obviously, I get my clients from schools and from families, etc. And so the question was, everyone was asking, where did you go for the summer vacation? So you had all these different list of countries. मैं यहाँ गया था, मैं यहाँ गई थी, मैंने ऐसे किया था. Then somebody came over and said to me, मैं तो खाली गांव गई थी. Suddenly it struck me, मैं तो कहीं भी नहीं गई थी. मैं तो यहीं के यहीं थी. So that's what I really, this is what the social media is doing. You know, you need to have those holidays, and the holidays have to be the aesthetical state of art places that you have to do, and so all this thing about expensive date nights, candle night, rooftop dinners, तो वो जो हम बाहर बैठ के स्टार्स के पास बैठ के भी तो कर सकते हैं, वो भी तो स्टारी नाइट रूफटॉप डिनर्स है.
Right.
But it has to be what the social media has said. If social media was to put this, starry night, rooftop dinners, they would suddenly say, अपनी ही छत पे गए थे तो वहां पर भी हम कर सकते हैं. So, so this is where we're talking about what the social media is doing. It highlights the rewards of a relationship. It doesn't show you the behind the screen work that makes those awards possible. And therefore, you will find grand proposals, picture perfect weddings, all framed into one. So, this is what social media, but behind all this, real time relationships are about also uh, the developing those emotional readiness, those tiny time together. It could be just going grocery shopping, or it could be cooking dinner together, or it could just be watching a show and as comfortable as you are, the way you feel there. Now, social media is not going to romanticize all this, but that is where intimacy evolves step by step, process by process, over years and years. And so that is what the social media is doing. So ultimately, it's not the social media which is my life. My life is my life. And my way of looking at relationships and boundaries should not focus on what the world says. वो पता नहीं कर भी रहे हैं, नहीं भी नहीं कर रहे.
Right, ma'am. So you very beautifully mentioned कि ये जो relationship है ना, ये instant gratification नहीं आता इसके अंदर. Every day you water the plant of relationship. Every day you have to
So,
nurture it. Right? और अगर कभी कोई पत्ता खराब हो गया तो ठीक है, उसको हटाना भी पड़ता है आराम से. Right? So that is about we need to sit down across each other rather than finding a restaurant which is giving us a starry night dinner time and everything. We can sit together hand in hand अपने छत पे जाके, बाहर पार्क में जाके, as you mentioned वो भी तो starry night date ही होगा, right? And that is where like real intimate relationships come into, you understand the other person because you're investing your genuine time and interest into it, है ना? तो क्या हो रहा है, बट आजकल दो बातें मेरे को जो नजर आ रही है रिलेशनशिप्स के अंदर. या तो लोग कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं रिलेशनशिप्स में despite of that emotional distress being a part of it. They are not happy, they're suffering, but still they're holding on to that relationship. We have such couples also one side, and on the other side
absolutely.
what I'm observing is it is ending even before it starts the relationship, right? So this is like two set of couples that I am observing around in today's time. तो मेरे को आपसे समझना है कि साइकोलॉजिकली क्या फैक्टर्स हैं जो इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं कि क्यों कुछ लोग दे आर लीविंग टू सून व्हाइल अदर्स स्टे फॉर लॉन्गर देन इज हेल्दी. सो व्हाई दिस, आई मीन गैप, व्हाई दिस गैप इज व्हाट आई वुड वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड.
Both are dangerous. Just for our audience, I would love to say, I would like to repeat this, is leaving too fast is dangerous. Staying into a toxic relationship is also dangerous. Deciding when the toxicity needs to be moved away from is also required. The why people are leaving or staying, it stems from how people learn to protect themselves from emotional pain. So first sight of any friction, and suddenly you are driven by that fear of emotional stress. पता नहीं क्या हो जाएगा, इसलिए मैं जल्दी से बाहर निकल जाऊं. You don't give that space. If something happens, there's a little scratch, you fell down. Now that little scratch, जब उस पर डिटॉल लगा के उसे ठीक करने की कोशिश करोगे, थोड़ा सा पेन होगा, पर वो ठीक तभी होगा. तो जब भी हम एक नई रिलेशनशिप्स बना रहे हैं या पुरानी को भी आगे ले जाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो जब भी there will be some sort of variation in how I look at life, how the other person looks at life. तो उसको जब हम एक साथ करने की कोशिश करेंगे, तो उसमें कहीं तो थोड़ा सा चेंज होगा. तो ये सोच के कि अभी इससे इतना सा दर्द हुआ, तो आगे कितना होगा, is the fear. इससे मैं अलग जाती हूँ. एक बात याद करती हूँ कि I remember this mother who came over and said, कि ये तो मेरा बेटा तो है क्लास 2 या 3 या 2 में या समथिंग, कि ये तो ना बहुत बड़ा ना रॉबर बन जाएगा. And she was crying. What happened? And she says, उसने ना अपनी क्लासमेट के से ना एक इरेजर आज वो चोरी करके घर ले आया. Now can you imagine, इस छोटी सी चीज को dreamt, and the fear of the whole thing got it to where. So sometimes we're doing that. The other side is fear of being controlled here. And the other end is, when we continue with toxic relationships, is the fear of abandonment or the fear of loneliness. I know these things also come from the socialization of our childhood. So often leaving a relationship despite all the emotional distress is because of the fear of loss, and also the learned habit of enduring pain. We have to revisit what is causing me to keep on putting up with that toxic situations. So people who leave too soon prioritize short-term emotional comfort. And people who stay too long prioritize connection and safety at the cost of their own emotional well-being. Our well-being is important.
Right, ma'am. You talked about childhood in between, right? So what I
Yes.
remember is right now, like when I was about to get married, and so one day my father made me sit with him, and I was like picking certain habits in guys. Ki no, he smokes, he drinks, he this, he that. So when my father made me sit with him, and he said, "Beta, out of 100, कितना marks देते हो? Because 100 out of 100 is not available and is not possible. You need to see yourself also कि क्या मैं 100 on 100 हूँ. So you have to come to a level where you accept कि अच्छा इससे नीचे नहीं. So that is what I'm saying. But in today's time, everybody wants that 100 out of 100 from the other person. But nobody is introspecting, deep diving themselves that am I 100 on 100 or not to be a part of a relationship. So ये जो over expectations हो रही है ना, तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल जो मैंने समझा है कि हमारे चाइल्डहुड एक्सपीरियंसेस भी आता है. बिकॉज देयर मस्ट बी
बिल्कुल.
समथिंग मिसिंग इन पीपल अराउंड मी हु वर इन अ रिलेशनशिप व्हेन आई वाज अ चाइल्ड. So my mind kept that with me that, oh, I don't want this certainly in my life partner, or I want this to be there at any cost in my life partner. So what role do childhood experiences, attachment styles, and family dynamics play in the way when these adults, I mean जो अभी अभी adult हुए हैं बच्चे, they choose their partners, or the way they handle conflicts, or the way they respond to emotional challenges in relationships. So what is the role of these childhood experiences, attachment style, family dynamics, is what I would like to understand.
I have been a professional for almost 42 plus years, have seen various, being in the mental health profession, you tend to see many sides of socialization, personal dynamics, everything. Look at, I give an example from my own childhood. When we were growing up, it was that girls were taught that you will grow, you will be conquering the world, but घर का काम तो फिर भी संभालना ही पड़ेगा. It doesn't mean that you'll be doing it, but the responsibility will be yours.
Right.
With my gray hair, with so many years of experience, there's this little thing. When I go in the morning, I'm always about कि breakfast बनवा लिया, बनाया नहीं. Will the food be taken care of? Is the kitchen clean? Then I have to tell myself, Renu Malaviya, there are people to do it. See how many decades
Right.
of socialization. It does not leave. That is what childhood experiences are. This was a good childhood experience in the sense this taught me how to manage various fronts altogether. Okay, in one way. In one way, it over did probably, I don't know. So when we're talking about childhood experience, it takes a lifetime for them to be understood, to be taken forward. The family dynamics, the original blueprint with which you came in. And that is what we need to understand ourselves. And second, Kavita ji, like you've said so clearly, somewhere in our present generation, it's nice that the country is empowering the young generation. They have amazing potential. कभी कभी तो लगता है हमें तो इतना पोटेंशियल था नहीं, पर होगा तभी तो हम जहां पर रहे हैं, isn't it? पर उसमें the society, the larger country, the larger global world has told the younger generation, you are the best. But in that being the best, have we forgotten that the other person might also be thinking that they are the best? मेरे में भी कोई कमी है? And that is where all of us need to look in. And I love this narration that Kavita ji said about, क्या मैं 100% हूँ? So when you're talking about, when we enter a romantic relationship, it is not a clean slate. We bring in our subconscious maps. जब भी तो कहते हैं ना कि तुम अपनी मम्मी के जैसे कर रहे हो, and the husband will say तुम अपने पापा के जैसे कर रही हो. वो subconscious map. And then you're going to have the fight on. मैंने 6 महीने से उनसे बात नहीं करी थी. So you are actually, the map comes with us, and we need to be able to listen and understand those maps. We are also seeking a repetitive compulsion. We are looking at our partners to have something which was in our socialization. So we are sort of looking at the same narratives often. And the conflict styles also. We try to solve them ourselves. I just was looking, somebody was saying, relationships क्यों नहीं work करती हैं? क्योंकि 2+2 को हम कभी 5 बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं, कभी 8, कभी 10. पर 2+2 में कुछ ऐड करना पड़ेगा, कुछ सब्ट्रैक्ट करने पड़ेगा, तब भी तो वो 10 बनेगा. वो नहीं कर पाते क्योंकि हमारा नैरेटिव पीछे से वही आ रहा है, उसी को पकड़ के हम बैठ जाते हैं. तो जब तक हम ओपन नहीं होंगे इसके बारे में कि हमारे में भी है, उसमें नहीं कमी है तो मेरे में भी कुछ है, लेट्स ज्वाइन टुगेदर एंड सी कैसे एक न्यू पाथ से काम कर सकते हैं. So I suppose that is what we talk about, handling emotions, internalizing the safety aspects, and parentification also. Parents के emotions, parents कैसे करते थे वही चीज हम बहुत सी बार फॉलो कर जाते हैं, subconsciously maybe.
Right, ma'am. So, ma'am, मेरा last question, this brings me to my last question is that अगर आपको कोई एक मैसेज देना है इन यंग अडल्ट को, इन बच्चों को हु आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर मैरिजेस, या उन पेरेंट्स को हु आर रेजिंग फ्यूचर अडल्ट्स, तो व्हाट वुड इट बी? क्या आपको लगता है एक इमोशनल स्किल हमें शुरू से बच्चों के अंदर नर्चर करना चाहिए जो उनको आगे जाके अपने रिलेशनशिप्स को अच्छे से निभाने में हेल्प करे?
Children are taught what to think, but they rarely are taught how to feel. तो सबसे पहले तो ये कैसा मुझे फील हो रहा है, जब मुझे फील हो रहा है तो एम्पथाइजिंग विद दूसरे को कैसा फील कर होता है, दैट इज वन थिंग. देन the boundary negotiation has to be done with a compassionate assertiveness, not aggressiveness. There's a very delicate balance. And the bottom line is, if we produce highly competent professionals who are often emotionally ill equipped for connections, balancing an academic career with intentional emotional education is essential for raising well grounded adults. So there's so much talk about social emotional education now. So these, I would say, is what I would like to leave at this point of time.
So thank you so much, ma'am. And as we come to the end of today's conversation, I would like to share that perhaps the question is not whether one generation is right or wrong. The real question is whether we are equipping young people with the emotional maturity to build relationships that are respectful, resilient, and deeply human. क्योंकि रिलेशनशिप्स के लिए ना सिर्फ प्यार जरूरी नहीं है. दैट इज नॉट द ओनली थिंग. दे रिक्वायर सेल्फ अवेयरनेस, ऑनेस्ट कम्युनिकेशन, एम्पैथी, इमोशनल रेगुलेशन, mutual respect, and above all, the willingness to grow together.
Absolutely. So well articulated.
So if today...
So there no...
Yes, ma'am. Please, sorry.
So no relation, no generation is wrong. Every generation has its challenges, has its advantages, right? But we need to keep the humanness intact.
Absolutely. We need to keep that humanness intact. That is the main core. And with that, I would say ki if today's conversation made you pause, reflect, or look at relationships from a different perspective, do share this episode with your family, friends, colleagues, or anyone who may need to hear these conversations. Sometimes one thoughtful conversation can become the beginning of a meaningful change. And I would also love to hear your thoughts, what resonated with you the most in today's talk. So do share your reflections in the comment section. And if you found value in this episode, do like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more such heart-centered conversations with experts. So until we meet again, take gentle care of yourself, nurture the relationships that matter, and remember that every healthy relationship begins with a healthy relationship with yourself. So thank you for watching. See you in the next episode of Talking with Expert.